Hi everyone, Azriel Knight here, and today I'm going to be doing my first impressions on the Canon EOS 3. I'll be shooting with the 24 to 105 f4 L series lens, and I'm shooting with Ilford FP4+. Just in case you don't know, this is a 35mm film SLR, and Ilford FP4+ is a black and white film. I'd like to take a minute to thank Jake for loaning me this camera, and I'm going to do my best today not to drop it. Okay, so some things I noticed right off the bat. First off, the shutter is a hair trigger, and I don't know if it's just Jake's camera, but it's gone off a couple times, and I'm barely even touching it. So I can't even feel the half press. Yeah, that's the other thing. There are a ton of focus points on this camera, more than I've ever shot with before. I will say though, it's really intuitive, and I say that about every Canon, but it's actually more intuitive than most Canons I've shot with. I'm sure you can hear that. There is some serious construction going on in this area. The whole neighborhood has a smell right now. It's actually kind of weird. It smells like construction glue almost. I have no idea what's going on, but there's road closures, there's massive trucks driving everywhere. And just in case you're curious, I'm in the neighborhood of Englewood at the moment. Oh, and I forgot to mention, but it's about -12 Celsius right now, so not exactly a warm day. I actually only brought a 24 exposure roll with me today, so I've already taken all my shots. There are two churches in particular that I haven't shot in Englewood in a while, at least not from anything other than the alleyway. Very, very typical of my style, nothing too outside the box of what I normally shoot. Nonetheless, I'm excited. So now I'm gonna head home and into the darkroom and get these photos developed. So one of the disadvantages to my particular darkroom is that there's no insulation down here. So right now it's less than 10 degrees Celsius, and it actually feels colder than that. I'm not too sure what the humidity is though. Humidity is 56. I got the film out of the camera. I'm ready to put it into a tank. My main concern today is that the distilled water that I've got is going to be so cold that I'm going to have to warm it up somehow. Man, oh man, that is some cold water. 57 Fahrenheit. Ideally, I would need it to be 68 Fahrenheit. So it's 11 degrees under right now. I'm not going to be able to just pour and develop today. I'm going to have to come up with another solution. I've decided to add small amounts of hot tap water to my distilled water. So it won't be 100% distilled, but it'll be like, 90%. And by adding a small amount of hot water, it's not going to take much to bring it up to 68 Fahrenheit. Okay, so at this point it looks like adding 90 milliliters of hot water, like just blasting until you see steam. I didn't measure exactly how much, but full blast in my sink, adding 90 milliliters of water to 500 milliliters of distilled water in this room temperature brings it up to 68 Fahrenheit. It's important for me to remember that because this is just the pre-wash, and it's going to be a lot easier for me to make my developing batch if I know how much I need to put in here. I'm gonna get my pre-wash done now, and then I'm gonna go ahead and make my developer by using the same technique, and we'll see how we did today. Okay, at first glance, the negatives look good. I got them hanging up to dry now. And while those are drying, let's talk about the EOS 3 a little bit. Okay, first thing that I have to mention, if I haven't said it already, this camera is massive. It is basically the same size as my Canon 5D Mark II. And it's noticeably bigger than my main SLR at the moment, the Canon EOS 30V. The controls on here, as mentioned earlier, are really intuitive. The one problem I did have is that when I wanted to bracket my shots, I had to hold these two buttons down at the same time, and I had to kind of do this claw type deal. I had to take my hand off the lens and press these two buttons like so. Maybe there was an easier way, but yeah, that was my one issue, is that these shift buttons, particularly changing the drive mode and bracketing here, you kind of got to do this weird pinch. I always love, of course, having an additional dial on the back that allows me to do exposure compensation if I want to. If I'm in full manual mode, I also don't need to use some kind of shift button. I like how it has a sync port. I almost did a studio test instead of an outdoor test on this camera, actually. And it's got a trigger here. Now I've got a trigger. I'm kind of curious to see if it works. Yep. That's fantastic. Yeah, I gotta say, overall, this is a really solid camera. Not to mention I had this out in a Canadian winter and it didn't even skip a beat, which is more than you can say for a lot of digital cameras nowadays. I think where this camera falls a little bit short for me is its sheer size. I don't think you need a camera quite this big to accomplish everything that you need to in a film SLR. However, if you do come across one at a garage sale, be sure and snatch it up if it's at the right price. Overall, it's a workhorse, and you know, my only complaint is that it might be too much camera for me. That's a good thing too. No more delays though, on to today's highlights. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And actually, if you take 30 Days a Night and every other vlog I've done, this is the 100th episode. So thank you for all your support. If you did enjoy this episode, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. You could also support me by becoming my patron on Patreon. And until next time, stay classic.